On today's Locked On NBA Game Night podcast, the NBA Finals are set as the Pacers get past the New York Knicks. Spicy P wins Finals MVP, and we're going to play a fun edition of Buy or Sell.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Let's get it going on the Locked On NBA Game Night podcast. I'm your host, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles, host of Locked On Thunder. That's Ku Hill at Ku Hill on Twitter. Locked On Pistons as well. Ku, what a fun night with basketball happening. Game 6 in Indiana, where the Pacers were able to clinch their ticket to the NBA Finals. Let's go out to New York to see the losing angle of this series and of Game 6 with Alex from Locked On Knicks.
The Knicks lost to the Pacers in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and their season is officially over. I was told to record this. I'm not going to lie to you. What do you want me to say at this point? Maybe they shouldn't have lost the first 2 games at home. That probably would have given them a better chance to win the series. That Game 1 really stings, and yet the Knicks still got further than I think anyone thought they were going to at the beginning of the playoffs. So that's cool. Anyway, all right, bye. See you next season.
See you next season, indeed, for the old New York Knicks. Ku, this was a weird season. From your vantage point, going up against New York in the East, how do you evaluate it? Because they made the Eastern Conference Finals, and at times in this season, we're burying them because they couldn't beat good teams. They make it all the way to the East Finals, and it still feels like a little disappointing ending for New York. Well, what do you make of this whole season?
I think the Knicks have to walk away like feeling good to a certain degree. But like you mentioned, I feel like this was I feel like a lot of Knicks fans and a lot of people are probably going to walk away feeling like this was their best shot. They were able to take out Boston. They didn't have to deal with Cleveland coming out the other way. They took care of the Pistons before Game 7. Like, they were able to take care and get a road to the finals that I don't think anyone really was expecting. I thought most people obviously thought that the Celtics and Cavs would meet up. But then you get the Celtics out of there, and now even the Cavs aren't meeting you on the other end. It's the Indiana Pacers who, look, they're going to the finals. They're a great team. Everyone's happy, like all that stuff. But, I mean, I've seen from a lot of Eastern Conference teams, including the Detroit community, feeling like, well, I don't feel like any of these teams are unbeatable. None of these teams are, like, insane. So it's like, okay, you got the Pacers coming up, who are a relatively younger kind of team, I guess. It's not a juggernaut like the Cavs or the Celtics were, and you still aren't able to do it. I think there's going to be a level of, will we ever have the road lineup like it did for us this year, to where, we don't have to worry about the Cavs, the Celtics, or Giannis with a good team, like all that kind of stuff. It really felt like this was the year for the Knicks, and they kind of let it slip through their hands. That Game 1, I feel like, is really going to hurt them a ton, or obviously did hurt them a ton. But, yeah, I feel like for the Pacers, they looked at it the same way. Like, we are not going to get an opportunity like this. I don't know if they feel like they can get one. But this was like a perfect size-up opportunity for both the Pacers and the Knicks, and I feel like the Knicks just let it slip.
Yeah, I completely agree that from the season body of work for New York, you have to celebrate getting to this point. But it's this weird phenomenon where, like, the Thunder community will feel this way heading into the finals of, you're healthy. You've been dominant all season long. Yes, the Pacers are a good team, but when you look around, how many more times is the bracket going to break to where you play the 8th seed, the 4th seed, and then the 6th seed, and then now play Indiana in the finals and not have to play the Bostons or the Clevelands of the world that you once thought just a few months ago was going to be awaiting you. So it's going to be, interesting to see how New York comes out of this, if they can or do make any earth-shattering moves following this loss in the conference finals. But I do think that it is worth celebrating. I know that we're in a kind of ring or bust, era of basketball, but these wins are massive, especially for a team that, like, in our lifetime, like, they've been the New York Knicks in name only. They haven't been some fantastic franchise, and now making this deep playoff run. Well, it was fun to see them come to life. And Alex said it best. I mean, you really only have yourself to blame whenever you drop the first two at home. Like, you've got to protect the Garden. You've got to protect the mystique of that place and having home court advantage where role players typically play better. But the Pacers were just the better team this entire series, and it showed out as they pulled away in game 6, 125 to 108 to get this win. The Pacers shot 54% from the floor, 51% from three, 84% at the free throw line, but the Pacers controlled the pace of the game. They won fast break points 25 to 10, and then the points off turnovers numbers was massive as well, as the Pacers just embarrassed New York. Points off turnovers 34 to 13. I don't think that the Knicks could have kept pace with Indiana if they tried to, and that was going to be their Achilles heel all series, and it ended up being their Achilles heels all series. Like, where did you see Indiana create the margins to get this series win?
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks' chance to win this series was to slow the game down and play in the half court. If this game got sped up, if they turned the ball over, if Indiana was playing in transition, it was going to be over with. They're deeper, they're faster, they're younger, all that kind of stuff. If you play to the Indiana Pacers pace, you will lose. And like you saw in the last game they won, New York got the game to slow down a little bit. They forced some turnovers. They played much more to the Knicks' pace, and they were able to really dominate that win. And now you got the Pacers coming out, like you just mentioned. They scored a ton of turnovers. They scored a ton in transition. They scored a ton in fast break. The Knicks kept turning the ball over. They kept missing easy bunnies at the rim that turned into fast break opportunities. Like, the Knicks messed up by allowing this game to turn into a track meet, and the Knicks are not going to win a track meet. But going back real quickly to what you mentioned, the first question you mentioned, I almost feel like the Knicks fans or the Knicks community would feel better if they had gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals and the Cavs are waiting for them and they lost in like 6. I feel like they almost would feel better about that. But because you get to the Eastern Conference Finals and now you got home court, you had the 3rd seed. You weren't expecting to have home court in the Eastern Conference Finals, but now you do. You have home court in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Indiana Pacers, where you feel like you probably have the best player. People will probably say Hallie's the best player now. But going into the series, I think almost everybody was saying, okay, Jalen Brunson is here. He's been showing up all playoffs. He's a playoff performer, clutch guy, all this kind of stuff. And you have home court and you're still not able to pull it out. It just feels like a major, major opportunity lost. I mean, I'll pull a quote from Lions head coach Dan Campbell. The Lions made to the conference final or the conference championship 2 years ago. And they asked him, is this the beginning of a window? And he's like, I had to be honest with my players. We may never get back here. Window shut just like that. Opportunities go away just like that. You may never come back here, so this really hurts. I feel like there's a level of that right now in the Knicks community.
We're going to talk about if New York can get back here. We're also going to talk about Pascal Siakam, who won Finals MVP in the Eastern Conference and the NBA Finals, getting set. Thunder Pacers in the NBA Finals coming up. But first, I want to say right now, but our friends over at DoorDash, go check out DoorDash today, because DoorDash is great. NBA fans, you know what time it is. It's the NBA final season, the playoff season. It means every big performance gets even bigger rewards. DoorDash is bringing the heat with a slam dunk deal with Dash Pass members during the 25 NBA playoffs. It's called They Swish You Score. Anytime a player drops 50 or more points in a playoff game, Dash Pass members score a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo with Wingstop the very next day. Just place an order of $20 or more. Use code Wingstop50 at checkout, and the combo is yours. Crispy, delicious, totally free. Offer valid from noon to midnight the day after the game. Terms and conditions apply. If you've ever looked at your delivery fees and thought there's got to be a better way, with Dash Pass, you get $0 delivery fees and exclusive perks like this one. How much would you save over the entire season? So here's how you play. You sign up for Dash Pass to unlock this and more exclusive deals all season long. When any player scores 50 or more points in the playoffs, Dash Pass members can grab a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the next day with a $20 or more purchase with the code Wingstop50. That's Dash Pass, your door to more savings, more flavor, and more ways to win. Terms and conditions apply. We're back on the Locked On NBA Game Night podcast. I'm Rylan Stiles. That's Ku Hill, host of Locked On Thunder for me, Locked On Pistons for Ku. Ku, Pascal Siakam won Finals MVP. There was a camera angle that made it seem as though Tyrese Haliburton was a bit surprised that he was not the Finals MVP. Do you think, who would you have voted for, and what do you make of Siakam's series, regardless of who you thought should have won MVP?
So I think Haliburton should have clearly been the MVP. I think the NBA, I've had a problem with the way the NBA does this voting, especially going all the way back to when Steph didn't win the Finals MVP in 2015. I feel like they really just try to overthink these things and try to outsmart themselves. The Pacers went as Haliburton went. He is the key to everything. He gets their whole offense going. He generates all the fast break points. He's the one who limits the turnovers. He's the one who gets them going. He's the one who sets everything up. He is their best player. He is the key to he is the engine. When they win, it's because he's generating everything. He's making everything happen. Pascal is great. We'll talk about Pascal like Pascal had a great series. But this is a thing the NBA keeps doing that I just really dislike. It feels like it almost feels like two things. Either one, they're trying to outsmart themselves, or two, they're purposely just trying to create a narrative or something to talk about. Like, I don't even last year when Jaylen Brown got it over Jason Tatum, I was kind of shocked about that one. I feel like they constantly are doing this thing where it's like, oh, can the second best player that we know is not as good as the best player, can they make it close so we can start this narrative? I don't get. We all know Hallie's the best player. We all knew Tatum was the best player last year. We all knew Steph was the best player in 2015. We don't have to try to big up the role players or the side guys to make them feel, welcome. That's my opinion on it. I really dislike it. I feel like Hallie is clearly the best player on the team, and he had the moments in this series. He had the big moments that everyone will remember from. He had the big time shots, and he put up stat lines that we've never seen before, like in Game 4. So I truly am kind of perplexed by Hallie not getting this. But with that said, Pascal was absolutely exceptional. He's one of the main reasons why I was begging the Pistons not to get matched up with the Pacers, because Pascal is really underrated. He is a great player, a great half-court offensive player. Uses his size really well, especially in the isolation. His spin move gets on my nerves so much, but it's damn near unstoppable. He was fantastic in this series, especially a few nights ago in quarter one, just absolutely lit up the Knicks. So Pascal was fantastic. They did a great job of identifying him and going and get him to be the co-star with Hallie a few years ago. So look, he played fantastic. I'm not trying to rain on his parade, but I felt like it was clearly Hallie's, and I feel like he kind of got screwed, but that's my opinion.
I would agree. I would have voted for Tyrese Haliburton to win the finals MVP without taking anything away from Pascal Siakam, who was awesome. But to your point, like, this game was close at halftime. The distance grew as Haliburton got more into a zone and was able to get to his spots more offensively and able to get more comfortable as a playmaker and simply just clicking better in the second half. Not that he was terrible in the first half, but as he got more comfortable, the lead grew. And it was no coincidence that as he got better, the team got better as well. That's what happens when you're a player who you're the lead engine of a team. And so with Siakam, he does provide this interesting matchup nightmare, because I really struggled to pick out the archetype of player that you would want to put on him. If we look to the Thunder Pacers NBA Finals, like, do you want J-Dub on him? Do you want Hartenstein on him? Do you want Chet on him? Do you want Caruso on him? Like, what's the best option to try to just simply slow him down, not even take him away in the finals or in any series? So I think that you're spot on with both points of just like the Pacers would have had an interesting, the Pistons would have had an interesting decision to try to face up with him. But so do the Thunder, who have a historically great defense and have really the archetypes of every shape and color that you'd want of like just the aggressiveness of a Caruso, the sturdiness of a Hartenstein, the mobility of a Chet. Like, they have the archetypes. It's just which card do you want to play? Where would you go if you're the Thunder on Siakam?
So I wouldn't put Chet on him. I feel like he would overpower Chet. I really think I'm interested in Caruso guarding him. I think Caruso would do a really good job. Him or J-Dub. That's who I would lean towards the most. But then just goes to, I'm assuming Dort will probably check Haliburton. I think that's probably what will go on there. I lean Caruso, but I think either J-Dub or Caruso would do a great job on Siakam. But look, the Thunder have a good problem on their hands. They have like 10 good defenders that they can say, okay, which one do we think is the best? When they really have just a ton of options to be able to throw at people. So you guys are dealing with a good problem to have.
Yeah, I would put J-Dub on him and just see how that looks. Because I don't love the Hartenstein matchup. I don't love the Chet matchup on Siakam. I think that also what that does to how you have to defend Turner would change the complexity of what the Thunder would want to do against the Pacers too much. But Siakam is a great player. It is a player that is worthy of praise today after this Game 6. I don't think he was worthy of Eastern Conference Finals MVP as he got honored to him. But this entire Pacers team, to me, on top of the pace, it was their role players stepping up and coming through. Like the amount of guys who you can talk about from this series that had their fingerprints on some games and some wins for Indiana tonight. I mean, Thomas Bryant went 2 for 3 from 3 and had 8 points off the bench to help this Pacers squad. And you've seen a big Ben Shepherd game. You've seen a big Nimhard and Neesmith game. You've seen these guys step up. I'm very curious with the playmaking of Haliburton and the overzealous nature of the Thunder to swarm the basketball and his playmaking. Who's going to be the guy that hurts the Thunder as that kind of release valve for the Pacers offense? I think that could go a long way in deciding the finals as well.
And man, shout out Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin, drafted by the Knicks, has went out there and he had a big moment in New York with that and one dunk to close them out. Comes out here, 18 points in this game, talking to the Knicks, getting crazy. He had a really good series. This is a guy who was drafted high, was basically thrown away by the Knicks, said, you know, it is what it is. You're not really all that. He goes to the Pacers, and he's done a really good job fitting into this role. Maybe didn't turn out to be the superstar or star that he wanted to be getting drafted as high as he did, but he's found a really good role with this Pacers team where he's a legit impactful player, and he had a fantastic night tonight. 7 of 11, 18 points to close out the team that drafted him and got rid of him. I'm happy for Obi Toppin. But like you mentioned, we got big games. Obviously, everyone knows about the Naismith game. That game was absolutely insane. You got great contributions from Nembhard. Like I mentioned, Obi Toppin, even TJ McConnell, I felt like a lot of times controlled the pace and kept them moving fast. And then obviously Shepherd had a few good games as well. This is a really, really deep team from the Pacers, and I think that's something you're seeing in the NBA Finals for other teams to build moving forward. The Thunder, extremely deep. The Pacers, extremely deep. And this is not the era of the top 3, top 4 guys, kind of like the Knicks were. They're really top heavy. The Knicks Tibbs tried a little bit to go to the bench, but the bench they have is not really, there's a reason why he's not going to the bench. I'm sure if he had a trustworthy, really impactful bench, he probably would have went to it a little bit more. But the Pacers and the Thunder, they're incredibly deep teams that can play 9, 10, even 11 deep at times. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out. But yeah, the Pacers have a lot of role players that at any moment, they even played Jarris Walker in this first half. Like Jarris Walker hadn't played, and they just threw him out there. So they have a lot of guys that can trust, and they're a really deep team.
I mean, you looked up at certain points in this series, and he didn't play tonight because of injury, but you had Tony Bradley out there.
Yeah.
For the Pacers. And he wasn't playing bad. He was playing his good little ball player. Tony Bradley in the Eastern Conference Finals. Are you kidding me? Just the way that these two teams have maximized their rosters has been something to watch and something to emulate, because it is a copycat league. Every year you look at who wins the finals and who makes the finals, and you see what they did differently than those that didn't. And I think that this could be one of the big things, is just the understanding of, listen, obviously you have to have the top guys. You can't get to the finals and win the finals without a Shea, without a Haliburton, and without a second guy like a J-Dub or a Pascal or a Chet. You can't get there without that. But you've got to have options to try to jumpstart your team at different points in a series. You can't just rely on 7 guys like in the old days and sink or swim with those 7 guys. You've got to be able to throw junk balls in there. Like the Thunder completely changed the Denver series by playing J. Will, the 3rd string center who is a 2nd round pick that they hadn't played a ton in the playoffs. They threw him out there and he changes that Denver series. Kenrich Williams shuts down Julius Randle in the second half of game 1 to win the Thunder game 1 of that series, and they get off to a 2-0 start in that series in the West Finals. And you've seen it with the Pacers too, of this, all the names we rattled off, that they had moments. You didn't rely on them to win you 6 games, but you rely on them to win 1 of the 4 in the race to 4 wins to win a series. And that ability to flip through that Rolodex and find guys to help you out, I think that those roster spots will start to become a premium again for more NBA teams to explore out of this finals. Now let's talk about the rest of the NBA finals and play a fun game of buy or sell. We're back on the Locked On NBA Game Night Podcast. I'm Rylan Stiles, host of Locked On Thunder. That's Ku Cahill, host of Locked On Pistons. Ku, every Saturday, we play a game of buy or sell. Let's start it out pretty easily. Buy or sell, Tyrese Haliburton is a superstar.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and say bye because I'm gonna base it off of Nick Wright's top 10 superstar club. I like that whole idea. I think it's super cool. He has 12 people in the club. 12 in. You want someone out, someone has to leave. So I'm gonna go by that. Do I think Haliburton's top 12 player right now? I think you have to give him that. Going to the NBA Finals, don't know how you can really argue against that. I think that one of the players fighting with him is Jalen Brunson. He just beat Jalen Brunson. I think he probably gets the edge right now.
So I love Nick Wright's superstar club. I think that that's a great model to base it off of. And I think that, it's a accountable way to do it too, because he keeps it to a certain number that we can't just lob around the title of superstar. And I would agree that the moments that he's had, like, let's be honest, the line between the best star and the last superstar is largely just like moments that pop into your head. And he had those moments all throughout this playoff run into the NBA Finals, and now has another chance to have even more of those moments. Buy or sell, Ku. The OKC Thunder are starting a dynastic run.
I'm buying it. I know people are they haven't even won the finals yet. I'll go ahead and tell you guys, and I think they win in 5. But they haven't won the finals. But I don't know if we've seen a team that is more set up to do this. Now, I'm not the smartest person right now yet with the whole CBA. I'm getting there. So I'm not exactly sure how much of this core they can keep moving forward, and if OKC's ownership will want to pay the bill to keep these guys around. So that obviously plays into it. But a team this young on these type of contracts, with the amount of picks you have, with the head coach you got, with the type of GM that's been proven, and how good they already are this early into their careers, if there was a team set up to do it, it is OKC. Now, I will say, if Giannis finds his way to San Antonio, it might get a little spooky over there. But I think OKC is really set up for sure. I'm buying it.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it too, from a standpoint of the league better hope so, because if this Thunder team can't find ways to patch together a roster that is sustainably at a high level, we're not saying win the next 5 championships. We're not even saying win this championship, although you did predict Thunder in 5 just now. But to sustainably contend for a title, if this team can't do it, then we've jumped the shark on parity. We've gone too far on parity. And the Thunder have cleared their books to where they have a clean enough future salary sheet to keep their top 3 guys. They have an ownership group that was willing to pay into that tax for teams that lost in the first round, much less recouping that money by those tanking years, much less having a stadium built for them by the fans, much less having the expansion that will help ownerships as well pocket some money. The ownership is willing to pay the money. You're going to be able to keep your top guys, at least your top 3. And then the reason that you get all these picks, and the reason that Sam Presti worked closely with designing the CBA, is that he made picks be as valuable as possible. The currency of basketball is going to be cost-controlled talent. You're going to have as many bites at the apple possible at cost-controlled talent. It's going to come down to hitting on those picks and allowing those picks to grow into capable players. If there's any GM that you'd trust to do that, it'd be Sam Presti. It'd be this Thunder team. It'd be the developmental environment for the Thunder. I'm not saying that they're going to be dynastic in the sense of winning the next 4 to 5 championships, but being in this stage at the finals, at the conference finals, being in this contention space, they have to be able to do it for the next 5 or 6 years. And if they can't do it, then nobody can. And for the life of the CBA, we're just going to be churning out different pieces of laundry, getting to the top. And it's going to be very different from the course of NBA history. So I do think that they're going to be around for a long, long time. I want to ask you on the flip side of that, in the West, buy or sell. This was the Wolves' best chance, and they're probably not going to get back here.
Get back to the conference finals?
Correct. Yeah, they got 2 straight trips, and they lost in both.
I think they can get back to the conference finals. I don't know. I don't think this was their best chance to get to the finals, because I think OKC was going to pummel them no matter. I think OKC was going to pummel anyone that came up against them in the West. I was kind of shocked that they went 7 with the Nuggets, to be honest. So no, I don't think that this was their best chance to get to the finals, but I do think that they will make it back to the Western Conference Finals again. And it's very young. He's 23. He's doing things that other people at his age haven't been able to do. I know people are criticizing Ant, and I've criticized him a little bit over the last few days on how he played in the Western Conference Finals. But when you zoom back out, he is 23. That's already made 2 conference finals. Not many players have done that in the history of the NBA. It's the best player on your team. Without like another superstar on your team, like Magic did it with Kareem, obviously. Kobe did it with Shaq, whatever. Ant's the best player on his team. He did it. So I do think they'll get back to the Western Conference Finals. Whether they'll make the finals, I don't know. But I don't think that they're just never going to make the Western Conference Finals again with Ant. I do think they'll be back at some point. Maybe not next year, but I think at some point they will get back.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it, just a little buy on this, only because I really trust their front office. I like their new ownership group, and I think that Ant is stellar. I think that Ant will continue to work out these problems that he's had because he's done it, right? Like, you've seen him take the lessons from his first few postseason runs and then incorporate that 3-point shot at an elite level. Now he's going to have to find his ways to be more aggressive against, doubles and blitzes and traps and like all the attention that he's going to get from defenses like the Thunder. I fully believe he's going to be able to master that as well this summer. My big thing is, when you look at their offseason and the loss of Nickeil Alexander-Walker potentially, the hoop shift to jump through with Randall and the decision you have to make with Naz Reid, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, and I don't know how they're going to navigate that. I think that if you ask this question in August, it could be very different than what you ask of it today. But right now, due to the uncertainty, I'm going to buy it a little bit and say that they're not going to get back to the biggest stage, and they're still going to be a good team. Any team that has Ant Edwards will be a very good team and capable of winning a playoff series, and likely to, but it's just going to be hard to consistently do it as you've gotten back-to-back Western Conference Finals for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's hit another buy or sell. Buy or sell. Your Detroit Pistons are going to be part of the craziest offseason ever. Every NBA insider is billing this as the craziest offseason ever. Are your Detroit Pistons going to get in on the action?
I'm going to sell this. I think there's a big civil war going on in the community right now about whether the Pistons should try to get involved or whether they should just run it back. And I know there were some rumors that came out today from Mark Stein, but maybe they're interested in Naz Reid or Miles Turner. I think that might just be smoke in the air. I really don't believe those rumors to a certain degree. I think the Pistons, based on what Trajan Langdon, their new president of basketball operations, has said over and over and over again, it really feels like that they are going to be patient. And whether you agree with it or not, it seems like that they are going to exercise a bit of patience. And I will not be shocked at all if they really don't make many moves at all and don't get involved in any of the big moves. I think it maybe would be a mistake. The East is open. It is as open as ever. It feels like anybody could make a move and jump from worst to first, mid to first. It feels like anyone could do it going into next year with what happened to Tatum and potentially Giannis leaving the conference. Like, this is a wide open, so I feel like you should make some kind of moves. But from everything that their president of basketball operations has said, I'm going to sell and say that they probably won't.
Yeah, I agree. I think that what I think will happen is selling it, and they're not going to get into the fray. And then what it sounds like you would do and what I would do would be making a move. Now, I'm not saying Giannis. I'm not saying something crazy. But if you could improve this roster, I would do it because, like you said, I think that Cade will only get better. I think that some of your pieces internally in Detroit will only get better. And if you can just help push them along a little bit with a move or two, nothing dramatic, then I would do it. But I don't know that they have the appetite for that right now. Let's end it with a funnier buy or sell. Do you buy or sell that the Sacramento Kings fan base and front office will have a harder time watching this finals than the LA Clippers front office and fan base?
Oh, no, I think I'm buying that. I think the Kings are going to have way worse time watching this. I think look, I feel like the whole Clippers thing, it looks bad. Like, it looks real bad now. It looks bad. But like, at the time, you're getting Paul George so you can get Kawhi Leonard coming off a finals MVP and a championship. Like, at the time, everyone was like, oh my God, they're going to win 1, 2, maybe 3. Like, at the time, it made sense to do it. If you have to do that to get Kawhi and Paul George on this Clippers team, that, by the way, at that time was already impressive with like their role players in the season they had. They just needed that next guy to move up. Now you're getting 2. I understood that. And I understand looking back at it now, seeing the haul that they gave up and to also then give up the MVP with the picks, it looks bad. However, the Kings chose the wrong guard to move off of. between Hallie and Fox. They moved him for Sabonis, and that hasn't worked out. And then the process after choosing Hallie over Fox and moving him out of there, now they also chose Fox. Fox is gone now. And now you potentially had 2 franchise guards just 3-4 years ago, and now you have none. And now basically what you are, the 2023 Chicago Bulls with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. And I don't know what exactly you're doing. I don't know what your future is going to look like. Like 3 years ago, your future looked bright as ever, and you just made the wrong decision. And now you're watching the wrong guard that you moved off of lead his team to the NBA Finals, while you are now sitting around wondering, does Zach LaVine and Sabonis and DeRozan compete for the 8th seed in the West? Like, I think it's easily the Kings. The Kings have it rough.
You never want to go full 23 Bulls. You just never want to go full 2023 Bulls, and they did that. And to your point, at the time, there was way more pushback in real time for the Kings trade than for the Clippers trade. And that, I think, has carried over. The only thing that you can be upset about if you're the Clippers is like having seen so many of these massive trades get either completely torn down or the package get distorted by simply going public with it. You could say, well, why didn't Paul George and the Clippers make a mess of this and just say, Presti, you gotta send me the Clippers. You gotta do it. And that's the only place I'm going to play. And you have to do it, because then it would have either lessened the draft pick package or taken Shea off the board, because you lose some of that leverage. The fact that Sam Presti was able to work this in the middle of the night to keep all of his leverage and get it done so seamlessly, like it was a Luka trade before the Luka trade, honestly, in that regard, of just like the secretive of it. Because how many times have all this stuff gotten out and now your leverage is blown? You should have, I think, if you're the Clippers, in real time, made a bigger fuss of it and made a bigger commotion of it to try to help your leverage in the trade talks. But ultimately, especially for where the franchise was and is, you needed that shot of life. You needed the shot of life of the hope and the sex appeal that Kawhi and Paul George brought you. And it turned into this. And it's more so a testament to Shea, who the Clippers knew, the Thunder knew he'd be a good player. And that's why Doc Rivers did not want to trade him. That's why the Clippers were hesitant to trade him. That's why the Thunder were eager to get him. But, top 3 player in the world. Did anybody really think that at the time of the trade? I think that's a little bit revisionist history. And then, of course, the draft picks is the cost of doing business, especially when dealing with a small market, for a trade that magnitude to give Paul George, who was 3rd in MVP. So it's like you got the guy who won a title and the guy who finished 3rd in MVP. That is much easier to live with than Domantas Sabonis. I mean, like that is way easier to live with if you're the Clippers than it is the Kings. The Kings are just, go listen to Locked On Kings and see how they're dealing with it for this finals run. But Ku, thanks for hopping on. Go follow him at Kukahill. Go check out Locked On Pistons. You can find me Locked On Thunder. And until next time, be good and be good to one another.